Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Path of Exile. Patch 2.2.2 is upon us. It fixed a bunch of things and it added a whole bunch of microtransactions. One of which is the Stone Earthquake effect. Being the microtransaction addict that I am, I of course got it, and here it is in full glory. Let's look at that glorious, gory explosion. I'm an instant convert, hope you like it as well. So, the previous couple of map runs are actually batch recorded in a row. So this actually falls a couple days after patch 2.2.2 came out. In between, I actually played around a little bit. I just ran some maps on my own just to gain some experience, find some new maps to run. And I experimented a little bit with the build, just trying out some variations. And I came upon something interesting. So I'm running Hatred now, which boosts my damage quite significantly. 31% of all my physical damage is a bonus as cold damage. And my pet golem also benefits from it. And now my default state of damage is 4200 DPS. If I turn it off, it's only 3200. So that's a bit of a bonus. And I'm rather happy with it. Also, I'm used to run Warlord's Mark. Warlord's Mark does a number of very useful things for your build. And while leveling up, I was depending on Warlord's Mark. Now that I have reached the end games, a couple of the reasons why I picked Warlord's Mark no longer apply. So, what are the reasons for running a Warlord's Mark? It gives you life steal and mana steal against everything that's in range. Because from a melee build, basically everything we hit with Earthquake will be affected by Warlord's Mark unless they are curse immune. And that means just a guaranteed 2% life steal and 2% mana steal. Which means our mana bulb is gonna stay very nice and full. Because if you remember back to the old days, like Act 3 of normal, early Act 4 of normal, I was guzzling blue potions like there was no tomorrow. And at some point after adopting Warlord's Mark, I could actually just drop the blue potion entirely from my mana bar, or from my potion bar. So that's a criteria that no longer applies. The lifesteal is of course very useful, but I'm no longer depending on the mana steal. Another thing that Warlord's Mark does for you is it grants endurance charges on a kill, a percentage chance to gain them. Which again, back in the day, it was very useful. I was running some combination of endurance charge on stun and my trusty enduring cry. Well, that was okay, but by dropping the endurance charge on kill and replacing it with Warlord's Mark, I freed up a link slot for more damage. Currently, enduring cry, I gain 33 endurance charges per 100 enemies. So that's literally 1 charge for every 3 enemies. I currently have 7 maximum charges. So if I'm surrounded by 21 enemies in range, I get instantly full endurance charges. So if you compare that with like at the beginning where you get maybe 10 charges per 100, you need a lot of enemies. Now most packs will just completely fill me up. And because the charges last way longer, that's good. Also, because of my Ascendancy skill, 20% chance to gain an endurance charge when you are hit. I didn't have that back in Act 3 in normal. But this is the thing that will keep you topped up while you are fighting, because you will get hit, and once in every 5 hits you gain an endurance charge. So, this is not a reliable way to top you up entirely, because you need to get hit 35 times on average to get 7 charges, which is maybe a bit much. But a combination of Enduring Cry plus that Juggernaut ability, it's gonna keep your endurance charges topped up. So I had less and less use for keeping 35% of my entire mana pool reserved in order to keep a Warlord's Mark running. So instead, I switched things around a little bit and I went with Enfeeble. Enfeeble is, well, if you're a hardcore player, you are familiar with Enfeeble. Enemies have less accuracy, so they hit you less often. Their crit chance is reduced. If they do crit, the damage of the crit is going to be reduced, so they might as well do a normal attack. On top of that, all their hits are going to be way less powerful. 25% less damage is very, very strong. So this just stacks, especially with physical damage. If you take 25% less physical damage on top of your armor reducing a bunch, your endurance charges reducing a bunch, you fortify, then that means I could drop Arctic Armor. Arctic Armor reserves 25% of your mana. If you take that one out and replaces it with Enfeeble, you reserve 10% extra mana, but it's going to be useful against all damage types, and you'll be receiving less hits in general. So this is a very good safety option. I dropped a Herald of Ash and replaced it with Hatred, just to boost my damage by more. And because this deals a cold damage, no, enemies might get shielded or something. It's good. It's actually because I'm now running Hatred, I'm slightly regretting going with Resolute techniques. Because I cannot do crits, that means I cannot freeze enemies. On the other hand, the damage output is pretty insane, so that's good. So, another change that I made, I dropped my cast when damage taken setup. It was nice, but I could not level it up because I tried to keep it like one cast or two casts per entire life pool. So there was a implicit level locking going on. I needed to increase my life pool before I could increase my cast when damage taken setup. When I dropped that, I could just keep leveling my gems. So currently I have a golem that is higher level, gives me more life regen, and it's just better. Also, Blood Rage, I can just cast it whenever I want, rather than having to wait to take a bunch of damage. So that means my current flow is I make sure I'm stocked up on maximum endurance charges, because that increases my tank. I always cast my golem, that is always out now. And then once my tank is fully up, I cast Blood Rage, because I will start taking damage, so my life regen effectively goes down. But Blood Rage boosts my attack damage, my attack speed, and it gives me lifesteal. And on top of that, I start generating frenzy charges, which boost both my attack speed and my damage, therefore making me more powerful. But you don't want to do that before you got your tank up maximally. So that's fortify, endurance charges, the whole shebang. So by shuffling some gem slots around, I actually managed to free up the entire helmet to boost my golem. So my golem now has more physical damage, it actually adds fire damage, and I had to actually add a reduced damage to it, because otherwise it would be more mana than I could afford to spend. So now it's 53 mana, which I can actually afford, otherwise it would be over 80. I've tested this built in a couple of tier 1 maps. I ran the dried lake with it a couple times. It seems perfectly fine. And the damage is nice, it's 4200. You cast your protector, goes up to 5k. Cast Blood Rage, 5500. And with frenzy charges it goes over 6000. 6,500 is relatively achievable with this setup. While before, I think I had to strain to hit 5000 damage per second. So just base level damage of the entire build is up. And of course, I've got Lion's Roar, a Granite Flask, which allows me to add 35% more damage on top of everything, which is just a great little power up. It actually replaces my usual Granite Flask. And with that, let's stop talking and let's start demoing. So for this we have a Quarry map that I found on one of my journeys. So let's chisel it to 20%. Alkit. We got 2 additional Rogue Exiles, 21% more rare monsters. They have Nemesis mods, monsters poison on hit, and monsters have fire resistance, and I have elemental equilibrium. That's interesting. This guy deal fire damage and I deal cold damage. I don't deal lightning damage, that's the only thing that I don't deal, but I think this could be fun. Oh, also, I'm actually just gonna go into the build a couple more times. I switched some items around. One of the, and because I leveled a couple times, I actually got to spend some scope points. So, if we go back to the build, we have most of the build done already. I mean, we got our Amplify up here, we got Devotion Endurance charges, we got Indomitable for the less damage from crits, we have Combat Stamina for a nice bunch of life regen, we have a whole bunch of life regen from here. Last time we got Shaper for more life regen and for mana regen. The entire Cyan life wheel has been assigned, so that's good for our tank. In our home area we got a lot of two-handed damage, we got the mace wheel of course, we got Resolute Technique, endurance charges, Juggernaut for just more armor and life. And down here we got Stun Mastery. I picked up Diamond Skin. Initially I was not planning on picking it up, but I was having some issues with just getting enough resistances into the build. And because I'm using a two-hander, it's harder to get more resistances on, because normally if you have a shield or something, that's a very good source of resistances. Didn't have that, so I had to improvise a bit. And Diamond Skin is actually really good. 15% to all 3 of the elemental resistances. That's 45 points of resistances. It's just very good. So I used to have an issue where I had exactly 15 percentage points of, or 16% lightning too few to be maxed all the time. Picking up Diamond Skin more or less fixed that. So next up I'm actually gonna complete the Lust for Carnage wheel to just always have extra physical attack damage leached as life, and this increases the percentage of life leech per second and gives me extra life per enemy hit. So this is all around a very good option for sustaining yourself. Yet still, my lightning resistance is less than 135, and even my cold resistance is less than 135, which is what you need to keep it maxed up in a Merciless. And the reason I have that is because my chaos resistance is actually boosted by a bit. Managed to get this sweet jewel. 10% innate chaos resistance, so I can actually reroll that if I ever find a Blessed Orb. A 24% bonus to chaos resistance. This ring all by itself gives me 34% chaos resistance. That was, for me, it was enough to just drop the pretty darn good resistance ring I used to have in order to boost my chaos resistance. So in Merciless I'm at negative 13 rather than at, I think it was negative 50 or something. It's just way better, or less worse than it used to be. So slowly getting to the point where I might actually think about finishing up Act 4, running Piety and all that good stuff. But for now, probably enemies poison, right? So then we probably want to switch to the Amethyst Flask that fixes poison. Yes, so having multiple flasks for utility is very good. So for me, the middle one is sort of a utility thing. I usually have curse removal on it, but here I'm willing to go with poison resistance. Poison fixing, I mean, because that's the thing we're gonna go for. So let's run the map. Let's see how it goes. So the Quarry, if I remember correctly, this actually has a boss sublevel that's completely filled with chaos damage dealing golems. And it was pretty horrible to run with a chaos caster. I think I'm drowning in those things by now, so let's not bother. Upside is this build just regenerates a ton of life. It's close to 500 life per second now. And as a result, I can deal with some poison damage. And because I got the poison removal on it as well. Okay. This is getting a little crazy. Let's resummon that golem. Gee. This is actually getting close to Scaryville. What the heck is happening here? Okay, you guys, I don't like you. Really don't like you. Also, I need to keep that golem up all the freaking time. So what is that? Shrink. I've been shrunk. More vulnerable to damage. Okay. Also, you're stacking poison on me. Sure. I think. Blood mana. Sure. Why not? Cool. Corrupting blood boss. Yeah, see, it was a combination of different factors. That's usually what gets you. But it can be fixed. Everything can be fixed. So increased duration. And we get a very nice Perandus cache. Well, 23 coins. It's not the jackpot, but it's better than nothing. So I really do enjoy that this build, you know, it is really tanky. It has really good life regen, so it can sustain quite some damage and it can survive some rather insane situations. Now, in worst case, you'll just have to withdraw, but all the regen, it affords you the opportunity to withdraw from combat. As long as the chaos is not too much, you can ignore it. I think with the blood mana stuff, corrupting blood, that's what it's called. I think with that I can sustain up to about 11 or 12 stacks before my life actually starts to go down. So that just goes to show the regen on this build is really insane. Also, maybe just pick it up instead of just standing next to it. Yes, thank you. So let's complete the upstairs bits. Just circle the outsides, then circle the insides. And then we go for the actual boss level. We actually found the boss level. So yeah, I'm gonna run upstairs first and then we go for the boss. Then we just conclude with the boss level. Because that is gonna be, I think it's gonna be pretty epic. Especially with the whole thing of extra chaos damage from enemies. That chaos damage will transfer to the, or extra poison damage from enemies. Because the chaos damage that the bosses inside do, it will transfer. And it's gonna be, well, I think it's gonna be very scary. Which, well, for this build is, I think it's a good thing. We need to face scary things every once in a while. Might be the last scary thing that we'll face in the foreseeable future, but hey. Being an unstoppable Juggernaut means you have to face the challenges rather than avoiding the challenges that could potentially kill you. And yes, I know for those who are about to make this smart-ass comment about what about Piety and Malachi? Yes. Being an unstoppable Juggernaut means facing challenges, but it doesn't mean suiciding yourself into challenges you know you're not equipped to deal with just yet. Or challenges that you're uncertain of how to deal with right at this moment. I mean, this is a level 70 area content. I'm level 75. So that's still pretty good.
I cannot carry.
Let's make a quick town stop, put some stuff into the bucket. For sorting purposes. Also, we've got a lot of extra scrolls here. Yeah, we don't quite need. Oh, yeah, man. Yes. Eternal Laboratory. Double checking. Slow refill, insta refill. I might need that insta refill at the boss encounter. So, yeah. Let's just run the rest of the map. Hey, Golem. Golem.
I cannot do this yet.
Oh, come on. Okay. So far, so good. Ooh, this is gonna be fun. Lots of enemies. Need lots of enemies. Also, these green swirlies going around the enemies, they help reduce the damage we take from them. Because that's one big difference with the Arctic armor. Arctic armor, it only increased damage, well, added damage reduction to 2 elements, fire and physical. But it did it no matter if enemies were in range or not. You have no such thing with the Warlord's Mark. It's all elements, but you need to physically affect them, so it works way better against melee enemies than against ranged enemies.
You then, a moment at a time.
Hey, Verici. Also, that's the second of the rogue exiles. Ashlesard. And a Verici.
The malcontent.
Open the target's chest and keep the target alive. Okay. We'll have to see if we can find the target. Well, we still haven't finished our rounds. Also, Golem. Yeah, man. There's work to do, Golem. Okay, we completed our rounds. Let's switch to the inner circle, so to say. Well, and if you've been wondering about those meteors that drop every once or so often, they are part of the enchantment that are on my gloves. I actually ran the Cruel Labyrinth. Just, I don't know, I think I actually speed ran it like 2 times in half an hour. Well, of course, this being a level 75 character and that being a level 55 area does make it easy to run it twice in half an hour. But it did allow me to get Edict of Inferno on kill on my gloves and 5% chance to dodge spell damage if you've recently taken damage. So anytime I get hit by a spell, then the next 3 seconds, I think that's what recently means, next 3 seconds I have 5% chance to dodge further spells. But the Edict of Inferno is that once every 10 seconds there's if I kill something, then a meteor will strike down one of its buddies for 1000 to 2000 damage. It's a nice little bonus. It's just a bit of extra DPS. Ooh, Grotto. We ran that one before. See, there it went. I mean, there are better enchantments for your gloves, but didn't feel like running it more. Ooh, an Exalt. That's it's gonna boost the rare with extra properties. I enjoy that. Actually do enjoy that a great deal. Also, Aura Greengate. Is that the third of the Rogue Exiles? That means there was one native to the map. Also, my golem. Get back here. Oh, wait. That was Vorici's target. Okay. Oi. You stop doing that, then I can just open this. I mean, we already blew the mission, might as well loot the chest. And there was nothing useful in it. Okay, let's see. Remaining 43 monsters remain. And I suspect some of them are gonna be in the sub-level. Which I think is just tied to the main level. Or not. But again, no, there's no obligation to clear the level. It's just good. Oh. Volatile Ice Blood. Here, I have a totem. I'll just get out of your hair. Come on. Let's die. Yes. I really don't have any intention of standing near volatile, whatever element bloods, if I can help it. And there's no point in going back to Vorici. So let's look for our destination. Which was, okay, this level to the east. Aha, Orb of Transportation. Let's also empty our pockets once again. Then we go in with full charges and empty pockets. Which means once we clear the boss level, we can scram. Also, then we don't have the Exalt in our inventory, which will make me feel slightly better about this entire endeavor. Whew. Hey, let's not die in this sub-level while running the mission this time. That's what happened last time when I went in with a fairly glass cannon character. Hello there, Void Anomaly. So this is a bit of a beast. It's a different fight from what I remember. Last time it summoned multiple not clones, but it summoned a lot of little golems that also dealt chaos damage, which made this all the more painful. This time though. Hey, yeah, see, now they come up. Previously they spawned during the fight, and then at some point I think I had like 5 of these guys running around and the boss kept summoning them. Which, well, it was an interesting fight, but it also made it tough as hell, because you were facing multiple rares on top of a boss. Now it feels like the fight was, well, nerfed a bit. Oh well. not dying in this fight, I approve. Well, lucky for those 11, they get to live. So that was it. What was it called again? The Quarry. Yes, the Quarry. So, new setup. Does more damage. It's still tanky enough. I mean, this was a level 3 rare with extra poison damage from monsters against monsters that dealt a chaos damage as a native damage type, and it came out ahead anyway. So, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.